High Priestess is somewhat of a mysterious card in the tarot deck. And if you are learning tarot and struggling to understand the wider meaning of this card, today I'm going to share with you how I am using tarot art to help me unlock some of the deeper meanings of this card. So let's dive in. Hello and welcome. If you're returning, you will be aware that I've been doing a little course on learning tarot, but if you're new, this course is exploring the meaning of the tarot cards from an art perspective and how we can use some of the imagery to help embed some of the meanings of the cards, particularly for those of us who struggle to remember lots and lots of text. I know I do that. So these are my selections for today. I have changed the format slightly because I was struggling to stick to just 5 cards. However, as always, do comment your favourite depictions of the High Priestess. Which deck does it come from? Why you like it, to help other people out in their tarot learning journey. The High Priestess card from the classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck has been embedded with many symbols depicting divine feminine wisdom, intuition, and a space that is neither heaven or earth, a kind of liminal space where we might want to explore our inner world and our spirituality, and that's really what this card invites us to do. On a deeper level, our High Priestess is dressed in robes, and she is the counterpart, the female counterpart of the Hierophant. But our High Priestess asks us to step away from outside knowledge and logic and to go within, because we have the crescent moon here, and the moon is the planet associated with intuition and also with femininity. And when we go to this place, we see that our High Priestess is in between the realms of these 2 pillars here, one representing female energies and the elements of earth and water, Bohem, whereas the other white pillar represents masculine energies and the elements, the sun and air, Yakim. Apologies if I've pronounced that incorrectly. So we said that the magician was a conduit, the connecting piece between heaven and earth, whereas our High Priestess is actually navigating that space in between. And to give us a further clue that this is where she is at, we have this fabric drape behind her. This is a veil, and this represents the realm beyond the veil, the realm of mystery, intuition, universal truths. Furthermore, to embed this female energy, we have the pomegranates decorating the veil, and the pomegranate represents fertility. We have the scroll here, Torah, which also suggests this idea of hidden, secret, ancient knowledge. To represent a spiritual mentor, then, I have chosen 4 different cards for reasons which will become apparent in a moment. Starting with this beautiful High Priestess card from the Tomar Tarot. This is an indie deck. I wanted to highlight the fact that yes, she's wearing these robes, but look at what we have on her chest here. Now this is the diagram for the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is a system where we can connect to our higher selves by tapping in to different energies, but also different paths between the energies. So it is made up of energy centers, which are the circles here, and these lines connect each of these energy centers. And if you're not familiar with Kabbalah, these lines They're called paths, and they're actually attributed to the cards from the major arcana. But our spiritual mentor doesn't have to be a religious priest. There are other aspects within different cultures who embody similar attributes. A wise woman, a woman, possibly an older woman, working with nature to tap in to something higher than herself, perhaps for healing and for knowledge. Or somebody who identifies as a witch, again, similar to the wise woman, but a witch using spells and intentions to help, again, connect to something slightly higher than themselves. Or perhaps somebody like you and I who have been using divinatory tools for self-development, self-reflection, to try and use these as a tool to help us make decisions or to reaffirm something that perhaps we already knew and that maybe we weren't quite ready to admit from this fortune teller here. High Priestess card from the Tarot Galamalfrey. She's changed the name to the Oracle. Now, the reason I have chosen this card is to represent the aspect of the card which is all to do with divine feminine energy. The High Priestess card is connected to both the moon and the water, which both have been associated with subconscious, emotions, intuition, all attributed to feminine qualities and energies. And I can't find another card in my collection of the High Priestess which speaks visually to this idea of watery feminine emotions. So Lisa McLaughlin has beautifully created these watery textures. Obviously the different blue colours help. We have an indication of the moon in the background here, which really underpins this idea of the divine feminine for the card. I will just point out the owl here. Again, we said earlier that this card is all about hidden wisdom, and so I think the inclusion of the owl helps to embed that concept further. Now, to access the world of emotions and the subconscious, we need to go beyond the veil as depicted in this card by Lisa McLaughlin from the Textured Tarot. And I've chosen this because I really like the quite literal representation of a fabric veil here, just slightly parting to reveal the knowledge and the wisdom and the feminine knowing from the full moon in the background. And again, our High Priestess is dressed in a blue robe, again the colour of emotions. And something else I just wanted to note was that these veils or curtains here are the same colours of the pillars in the Rider-Waite-Smith version. Once we have gone beyond the veil and we've entered that realm, neither heaven or earth, we find ourselves in this liminal in-between space, which I think is just beautifully represented here from First Aid for a Broken Heart's Tarot. This High Priestess sat upon her mysterious zebra. We've got this cloud scape going on here, but I wanted to point out the inclusion of the pillars. So again, we said that we go beyond the veil, but we're also in between the two pillars. Now, up until this point, until I started researching this video, I hadn't really cottoned on to the significance of the 2 pillars. So this was really helpful for me. So we said that the black pillar in this card, Bowen, is the female energies, so of water and earth. And look what Nonara has used to depict this pillar here. We have a cloud, and what do clouds contain? Kind of water and evaporation. Whereas the Yakim pillar for masculine energies, fire and air, has used the sun. And I really like that as a visual depiction to help you remember the difference between the 2 pillars and what they represent. The other reason I really love this card is because for me it definitely alludes to this idea that you're in this in-between world, this kind of dreamy, ethereal space which is neither heaven or earth. And for the reversed meaning, I've selected the High Priestess card from Patrick Valence's Deviant Moon Tarot. So the reversed meaning of this card could mean that you have an inappropriate mentor, or perhaps you are following the wrong path. And just look at our High Priestess's facial expression and body language here. To me, this looks like a grimace, which could indicate grimacing that you're choosing the wrong mentor. And then her arms are crossed, so again, crossing those arms to show you that perhaps this is not the path that you should be taking. An additional meaning for this card is that some kind of secret or knowledge is now out in the open. And if we look at where our High Priestess is located, we have some buildings in the background and she's out in some kind of courtyard, so she's out in the open. And for me, this is a really strong visual clue to help me remember this. I don't typically use reversals, but now I've started on this process, this technique of assigning a particular card, which I think best represents the reversal, really helps me to remember the reversed meaning. The High Priestess is a female spiritual mentor who understands the importance of tapping in to the watery, emotional and intuitive world, often associated with the divine feminine. When we go to this place, we are travelling beyond the veil, a space that is neither heaven or earth, but somewhere in between, where we have an opportunity to explore different qualities of female earth and water energies, but balance that out with the male energies of air and fire. But it is predominantly a divine feminine energy. However, when in reverse, it could mean that we are choosing to work with the wrong spiritual mentor, or that we are following a spiritual path that isn't quite right for us. And so how have I interpreted the High Priestess card for my deck, the Tremendous Tuxedo Circus? So let me introduce you to Misty the Fortune Teller. She is somebody who is versed in divination, obviously as a fortune teller, and therefore represents your female spiritual mentor in that respect. Misty is sat upon a paper moon, which is a prop from early circuses, but you will notice that she is not sat inside the big top itself. She is sat somewhere else. And we know it's an in-between space because you have the universe behind her to represent the heavens. But there are the two circus curtains which indicate that there is some connection to the earthly realm. Now these circus curtains, one black and one white, you will notice represent the two pillars in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and they have been decorated with the curtain ties with the B and the J. Now Misty also has a scroll in her hand, and like with other High Priestess cards, this represents this idea of hidden knowledge. Maybe that's hidden knowledge from the universe, but it could be hidden knowledge within yourself. And as a fortune teller, it is Misty's job to use her divination, whichever one she chooses. She has a crystal ball, and obviously she is going to have her very own tarot deck soon, this deck that I'm designing, to help unlock whatever it is that you need to find out within yourself as your spiritual guide. I should also say, Misty is a cat, and cats are renowned for being able to traverse realms, and they often can see things that we can't. And if you go into this, apparently your cat is protecting you whilst you sleep from any untoward things or beings from other realms, and so Misty here may be able to protect you from those things as well. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore the artwork and the meanings of the High Priestess card in tarot. I hope you found that useful, and if you did and fancy giving it a cheeky like, I'd really appreciate it. And of course you can always subscribe to the channel for more tarot, oracle and art related content. In the meantime, here are some other videos from this series you may like to check out. I'm Sally, this is my channel Vaudeville Manor, House of Art and Tarot, sending you much love wherever you are.